Hello everyone and welcome to level 2 of Power Skills. In level 1 we discussed self-mastery, and self-mastery is the foundational power skill for all the rest, but also for any other skill. In this level, in level 2, we're going to talk about thinking. And although thinking comes in many forms and shapes and there are many different thinking skills, we're going to talk about 3 in particular. But before we dive into those skills, and most importantly, before we start training them and making thinking deeply as a habit, I would like to ask you a question. Can you run? Yes, can you run? Can you now go outside and run? Most probably you can. If you are missing a train, you can run. If you're missing a plane, you would run. Probably you can run for 10, 15 minutes, even an hour. Probably you can even run fast. Now let me ask you a different question. Can you win an Olympic golden medal in running? Of course, if you have a disability, you can't. Of course, you need certain body type in order to run faster. But the main 2 reasons why you won't win an Olympic golden medal are very obvious. Number 1, because this is not your goal. You do not want to win an Olympic golden medal in running. And number 2, most important than 1, you are not training to run. You're not training how to breathe while you're running. You're not training for speed. You're not training for endurance. You're not spending every single day training to become a golden medalist in running. Okay, let's move to another set of questions. Can you think? Of course you can think. Between 40 to 50 thoughts cross your mind every minute. Everyone can think. It's not about if you can think because you think. Actually, it's very difficult to stop thinking. Now, can you win an Olympic golden medal in thinking? Can you become a chess master? Can you become someone who creates the next Amazon or the next Apple through innovation? Can you quiet your mind to a point where you can truly experience you are more than your thoughts? Just like running, thinking is a skill. The fact that we think, because this is how our brain and mind works, doesn't mean that we have the skills to think. Now, in this level, we're going to explore, as I mentioned, 3 particular aspects of thinking, not just explore them, but train them. The first one is how we think about ourselves, or the skill behind this is our ability to recognize and transform our self-image and limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs and self-image are things that were formed throughout our life without us consciously wanting to form those limiting beliefs. No one consciously chooses to believe they're not enough. No one consciously chooses to believe the world is a horrible place full of enemies. Those are limiting beliefs, as we will explore, which are formed outside of our will and outside of our conscious mind. However, the skill to identify them and transform them is something that can be learned. So the first aspect of thinking we're going to explore is how to recognize and transform limiting beliefs, self-image, and biases about the world. The second aspect of thinking we will explore is critical thinking. Our ability to understand, analyze information, and create solutions to it, but also how much through an in-depth understanding about areas of interest and areas of career interest we have in certain topics. So how deep of an understanding we have of biology, of coding, of geography, of marketing. Because usually shallow thinking and shallow understanding means we're going to be replaced by AI. So critical thinking is a very important skill in the AI era, because you could be the one that's replaced by AI, or you could be the one that leads with AI. But if you're not capable to critically examine information, options, data for yourself, you're lost. And the final aspect of thinking we're going to explore is creativity. Now, a lot of people believe that creativity is something that spontaneously happens and something that we're born with. While it is true that some people are wired to be more creative, creativity is a skill and it's something that can be cultivated. The underlying idea for all of those three skills, how we think about ourselves and the world, critical thinking, and creativity, is that we can have very shallow thinking and really deep thinking. We can have super fast, superficial, surface level thinking, or we can have slow thinking. Now, those two modes of thinking are what can make us a genius, the next Steve Jobs, the next Einstein, the next Dali, the next Gaudi, or someone who will be forgotten due to their shallow thinking. In this module, I will give you several challenges, rituals, and protocols to develop your thinking skills. But before we do that, I would like to tell you what are the three absolutely universal strategies to develop thinking skills. If you start doing at least one of them, I can guarantee that your career or success will be soon catapulted. Number one, mindfulness. Now, mindfulness has become a buzzword and now means nothing. So let me break it down in the simplest possible way. Mindfulness is observing your thoughts and understanding at a visceral level that you are not your thoughts. So mindfulness is putting the pause button on your automatic thoughts, observing them, and even distancing yourself from your thoughts. And this is true mastery. This is what teachings like Buddhism is all about. Number one, mindfulness. And if you wish to practice mindfulness, I very much recommend that you use an app such as calm.com or Headspace, and you start with short 3-minute meditation. That's all it takes. The second universal strategy for developing thinking skills is reading, but not reading any literature, because there is super shallow literature, crap, and there is literature that can develop your thinking. So if you want to develop thinking skills through reading, you can read classical fiction literature, European, American, Asian, whatever, classical fiction literature, or scientific non-fiction literature. Now, scientific non-fiction literature is not self-help. Scientific non-fiction literature is usually written by scientists and is based on significant research. So strategy number one to improve your thinking skills is to read more. And the easiest way to read is to set a goal to start reading every day. When I was doing my master's degree, I had a semester where I had 5 courses. And I know 5 courses sounds like not too many, but I was super busy, and that was a moment when my business was experiencing huge challenge with subcontractors. So I have those 5 courses, and of course I don't want to rush through them. I want to learn the material. That's important to me. So what I did is I had one goal. 3 times a week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday, to sit and read. This is it. I did not have the goal to read 5 pages or 10 pages. 3 times a week, 3 days a week. My goal was to just sit and start reading. My phone was away, TV was off, computer was shut down. So if you want to use reading as a strategy, read classical fiction literature, scientific literature, and just set the goal certain times of the week to start reading. All right, so we have mindfulness through the apps that I recommended. We have reading of classical fiction or scientific literature. And the third one is exploration or research. Now, and research are things that we all believe we can do and that we do, but again, we can do them at super shallow level. We can do them in a way that makes us dumber, or we can do them at deep level and at a level which makes us expert. Which is why in your workbook, I've put an appendix on how to do real research. First of all, I believe this is a universal skill for everyone who wants to work in Industry 4.0 or 5.0. So unless you're going to be someone who is painting walls, research skill is important. And that's the third way to develop thinking skills, which is why, as you have noticed in power skills training, both in level 1, but in this one, you are going to have a lot of research tasks. All right, so I would like to finish this video with a very simple message. We all believe we are thinkers. We all believe we can think. But think of it as running. You can run, but can you become an Olympic gold medalist in running tomorrow? Same with thinking. Thinking skills are developed, and the only way to develop them is through consistent training, which lasts more than a week, more than 3 weeks. Most oftenly, it lasts a lifetime. And by the way, this is also the key to lifelong learning. And I shared 3 strategies: mindfulness, reading, and doing research to improve your thinking skills. For all those strategies, or for those 3 strategies, you have a protocol in your rituals and protocols for this level. So you can start working on them right now. And again, in the AI era, if you want to be replaced, you can stay at shallow level thinking. But if you want to lead, you absolutely need to go deeper and deeper and become a master of your mind. See you in the next video.